All right, before we get into it, I mean, we got a real awesome show for you guys today, but I just wanted to mention that if you stay till the end of the podcast, you can catch a sneak peek at G1M's new single at the end of the show. But without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Full-Time Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Edge, also known as Thomas, and we have a lot of stuff on here where we talk about creators, we talk about media, we talk about different stuff. We love to dive in and analyze it, but I thought it'd be really cool to have an actual creator, someone who's on here that we can talk to and interview. So we have G1M. He's an artist. He has a new album that's come out, Lois Lane. So what's up?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, dude. It's been a while.
Good. I know. It's been way too long.
Yeah, so for everyone at home, we used to go to college together. It was pretty dope. So I have a couple questions for you. I wanted to kind of dive in, because this new album was legit.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Like, it was better than anything you'd ever done. So it was really cool to see that. So I just wanted to, for everyone at home, how did you get into music? What was the reason you got into it?
You know, let's see. I had some guitar lessons when I was like, I don't know, probably 9 or 10. It was a couple days worth, and then I kind of started teaching myself. I was looking online, kind of figuring that out. I also, learned saxophone. So that was kind of my first intro into. Yeah, dude. I've been playing saxophone for like 10 years.
That's crazy, because you do mainly hip hop and stuff. So
right.
You wouldn't expect. Most people wouldn't expect people from hip-hop to know instruments, but you incorporate a lot of instruments into your work, don't you?
Yeah, and the instruments was actually how I started. I hated singing when I first started playing, but kind of the more older I got, I got into choir in high school. Definitely brought me out of my comfort zone. I did, theater and that kind of stuff. So being on stage was super familiar. But honestly, the turning point of when I said I want to do this, it was 7th grade, and we had a talent show at my school over in Kenya. And so basically, I was on the bus, and I heard the song, which was "Live Your Life" by T.I. and Rihanna, and for some reason, I had never rapped before. I had never done anything like that. I was probably 12, 13 years old.
Right.
And, I heard it on the radio. I was like, I want to do this for the talent show. I didn't know why. I didn't really have a plan. So I asked this girl in my class if she'd sing the hook, and she said, yeah. So, I got my backward cap on, oversized shirt, some high tops, and I got in front of the school, little long-haired me, and kind of just did my thing. And after that, that feeling that I had on the stage, it was, I couldn't top it. So I decided to, kind of pursue that and see what I could do. That's kind of really the beginning of it. Yeah, that was in Kenya.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but you actually, that's where you grew up.
Yeah, I lived there for 15 years. I was born in Minneapolis, but when I was 2, I moved over there. Then I came back when I was 18. So yeah, it was kind of
I imagine that's influenced your music in some way, right?
Oh, absolutely. I don't really look as music as, one genre, one specific, if you're a hip hop artist, you have to do hip hop. You have, your beats have to sound like this. I think growing up there, that's the reason that I have that mindset, because it's really a melting pot in Nairobi, which was the city that I lived in. You have people from Asia, you have people from Europe, Australia, America, South America, literally everywhere. And for some reason, they're in this one city in Africa. It's the UN headquarters for Africa and a bunch of other stuff like that. So there's a ton of international people, and I think just growing up in that environment kind of just crafted me to loving all types of music and trying to incorporate all types of music.
Right. I mean, you have a line in the album. It was like, "Let's just see what happens when we mix this rap with rock and roll."
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool because there's a lot of riffs in there. There's a lot of really nice riffs that are in the album.
Thank you.
That's the one thing I was listening to, and I'm like, what kind of music is this? And
Dude, I don't even know.
Right. It's something.
It's something. I've heard people say it's kind of like, a little bit of Kid Rock, a little bit of Macklemore, a little bit of NF, I've a little John Bellion in there. But but that's kind of up to the fans to decide what the music is. My job is just to make it. Bottom line.
You don't want to be put in a box,
Not really.
You just make music,
Exactly.
I like it. So
Thank you.
The other question is I've been following your music for a while, and some of your other fans who are listening know that this album isn't anywhere near the first thing you've done. NF has a great line. It's like, you keep on thinking that artist is new, but that artist has probably been at it for years,
I love that line, and that's my life. Like,
right.
You look at me, I just put out my first album on Spotify. So, you look at the discography, you're like, oh, this is a brand new artist.
Right.
But no, I've really been doing this since I was about 12 or 13.
The one I'm familiar with is the IOH,
Yeah, that's the first project I put out.
And I was there with you whenever you put that out.
Yeah,
we were hanging out.
Yeah, we were in the studio. Yeah,
that was crazy. But so my question is, why did you wait so long to put out this album? I really want to know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you're not the only person who's asked that. For a few reasons, honestly. Right when I put IOH out, I didn't produce that album or that EP whatsoever. I was kind of, finding beats online and just kind of rapping over it, trying to make my own thing with something that somebody else had made.
Right.
Those all good and fun. But I was doing a few shows downtown Minneapolis, and I was doing those, my songs to those beats, and something just didn't feel right. So, I told myself, I'm not going to perform again until I have an album that's all mine, that I can actually take credit for. So I kind of went MIA for about 3.5 years. I didn't really know much about production. And so I started kind of teaching myself, and next thing I know, just writing the songs, and, I would put a goal to, try to at least write a song a day or produce a song a day. Whether that was for the album or not, I was just generally trying to get more comfortable and trying to really just piece it together. So yeah, it took so long because I was really starting from scratch.
So all the beats on the album, all the music, it's all you.
150%, yes, sir.
That is crazy.
Thank you.
There's a good beats on there,
Thank you.
That's crazy. So, besides learning music, something else happened in your life, right?
Yeah,
Lois Lane, that's something there, right?
Absolutely. I got married almost 6 months ago now.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude. Time kind of flies. But yeah, so the album is actually it's kind of a dual bladed sword there. Part of it is dedicated to my wife now. My girlfriend at the time when I first started it, fiance while I was still working on it, and then wife right before the album dropped. It does tell a story, and it's funny because I didn't really mean to tell a story. I was writing songs in each moment that was happening over the last 3 years. It wasn't really okay, like I'm going to make a song about this and try to tell a story. It was just kind of me being honest, and I kind of put it in like a rough order of how I thought everything should go. And I was actually listening to it with my dad a couple months before the album actually came out. It was still in the mixing stages there, and he looked back at me after we finished all of the songs, and he's like, "You just told your story in 15 songs." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did, didn't I?" Like, I didn't really mean to do that. So the story it's about me. It's kind of about how I came up, a little introduction to who I am. We're kind of just scratching the surface, though. There's still a lot more to come in the future stuff. And then, the other stuff is about my wife and just how amazing she is. And it's kind of a portrait of, how we should treat the women in our lives.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, what's your favorite song from the album personally?
That's hard.
Right.
Because they're all so close to me. I love Adderall.
I really like Adderall too. I think my top two are Adderall and Change. I don't know, those songs.
Yeah, those are solid ones too. Probably the one I had the most fun working on though was Bones. Oh, that was with Brandon
Poole. That guy.
Dude, he's a phenomenal artist. Super talented. He's got a voice of an angel.
Right.
He actually goes to Bethany College Admissions.
Oh, really?
In Bloomington. Yeah. So I got connected with him because of my drummer, Justin Thomas. He was friends with him. Yeah. So we kind of connected one day, and I was like, hey, you want to work on some music? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. This was right before the show. So, I kind of had this beat that I had just cooked up the day before he came over, and then, next thing we know, you have this track, and yeah, it was done in, I'm not even kidding, like 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So the whole thing kind of just came right together. So when I launched the album, he's actually one of the openers. So I brought him on stage and we did that song together. So that was super fun.
His voice pierces your soul.
Oh, I know, it really does. As soon as I heard him sing that first note, I was like, all right, like, we found a winner.
Because there's not a lot of features on the album. And I know IOH had a lot of features, and I got to think that's on purpose, right?
Absolutely. He was actually the only feature of the album, was that one song.
Right, because it's your story. Yep.
It's my story, and it was my first time really trying to produce everything myself and mix it and try to figure it out. So, honestly, it was so much work as is that I really didn't have time to like try to contact anybody or get to know anybody.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just gonna do this myself, and that the fact that he came onto the album was just a fluke thing. It definitely worked out.
That's awesome. I noticed that there was a couple of songs, most of them are new, but there's a couple of songs. Dark Side was one that you previously had done.
Correct. I had done that on somebody else's track. And there was just something about it. I loved, just the way it was just flowed. It was all just bars. There was a hook, but it was still rapping in the hook. So I really loved the vibe of that. I decided to kind of sit down and reproduce the track and, keep the lyrics, but make something from scratch. And, I think it ended up not too bad.
Right. Yeah. I really like that song. I liked that on, when it first came out, when you put it out. And I was glad to see that as a single on Spotify, because I was vibing with that in the car and everything. So that was pretty cool. The other one, you snuck one of your old songs in the middle of Change.
Yeah, of Change. Yeah, I did. So kind of surprised you noticed that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, hold up. You've done it. When you grow up overseas, I guess you lack the vision to tell the difference between your friends and enemies.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And the reason I took that, because, the song Change is really about how my life changed. And, things may be different, but, some things will always stay the same. And that was my friendship that I was talking about, with everybody over there. So that verse that I took from a previous song, I didn't produce the previous song. So, I figured, that's a solid verse, and it really ties into what I'm talking about anyways. So I threw that in as the second verse. I don't know. I think it worked. It's definitely going to be the last time I do that, though. I've really been working hard on just straight up just writing from scratch every single time.
Right.
And yeah, it's been working.
Oh man, so I'm just looking over the tracks in the album. There's a lot of good ones. I really like Bachelor Party because it's a really fun one,
Yeah. We actually I'll have a music video coming out in the next few weeks probably for a Bachelor Party. That was my actual Bachelor Party. That's what we did for it. We shot the music video for that song.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's 100% real footage. It was me and like 9 of my closest buds, and we kind of had a house party, just us. It was like kind of a guys only thing. Right. It was probably one of the most fun nights I've ever had in my life.
I really like the part in the song where you get interrupted by the phone call. It's just a nice touch,
Thank you.
Oh yeah. The other one I wanted to talk about, and you're perfectly okay to say that you don't want to talk about this track, but
let's do it.
I don't know I don't know how to pronounce it. It's the one that's it's a different word. It's an African word.
That's like Ndugu.
You're throwing some shade at someone, maybe. I'm not.
I wasn't really throwing shade in that song. I was that was my tool of venting, I guess. The word Ndugu is Swahili, and that means brother.
Okay.
And I put it in quotation marks. So, say brother.
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to go into too much detail on that.
Right.
I wasn't, throwing shade. I was being perfectly honest about how I felt, and it was kind of the best way that I knew how to vent about it.
Right.
And I was going back and forth. So I'm like, do I put it on the album? Do I not? But like, I don't know. It was a combination of the beat, the message, and just really how I was feeling. It was a last minute decision. Like I literally threw it on 3 days before I sent it into mastering. Like that's kind of when I decided. I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna do it.
Right.
And yeah, I got no regrets.
Right. I mean, I've always really liked NF's kind of take on music. It's kind of a therapy. It can be a therapy.
Oh, absolutely, therapy session.
Right. Exactly. Therapy session. So I mean, like, it's a way to it's a personal thing. I kind of wanted to talk to you about that actually. In the hip hop game right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good music, and don't get me wrong, I love a Wild 'N Out party song as much as the next guy.
Right.
But hip hop, it seems to have kind of lost its roots somewhere along the way. I just wanted to know what you think about that, and because your music seems to be a little more real,
Sure.
What do you think about the current state of hip hop right now? There's a lot of trap beats, right? A
lot of trap, right? A lot of hoobita.
Right, yeah.
I think it's a phase, or it's a fad, I guess. I think it'll phase itself out in the future. I mean, I'll get down with it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the state of hip hop right now, but at the same time, I definitely see the old school true hip hop coming back. With whether that might mean like the actual music elements itself or not, but more of just the storytelling, the being creative with your lyrics. I think there's a lot of artists out there who are doing that, who don't necessarily get the same exposure that people like Migos are getting.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. What are some of your favorite artists? Maybe some favorite artists now, or some people that have inspired you along the way?
Man, inspirations. I mean, I grew up on Paul Simon. My first
Paul Simon being
Paul Simon. Oh, you don't know Paul Simon?
I mean, maybe I don't know.
You got to look him up. Graceland. That was the album that I fell in love with music.
Right, I'll
listen to him. Beatles, Beach Boys. A lot of old school stuff.
Wow, that's surprising.
You're right. When I was, I kind of got introduced to like Lecrae and Trip Lee, right, Tadashi. Yeah. The guys back in the day, and they were cool. I definitely listened to them a ton. But my first like exposure to full like real hip hop was probably 50 Cent.
Nice.
I think the first song I ever heard from him was Piggy Bank. And I was like, okay, like this dude's singing about a piggy bank. And, I was like in 5th grade. Between him and Akon, they were probably my first like introduction into hip hop and that style of music. I loved Akon because, I was living in Africa when I discovered him, and all of his songs were pointing back to Africa. And there was always a shout out. And I think that still stuck with me. And, I'm still trying to do that because, I might live in Minneapolis, but Africa's my home still,
right?
And it always will be. So it's not just coming to the States and forgetting about your roots. Like no, that doesn't happen. But yeah, my inspirations now, John Bellion, 100%. He really helped. I studied him for a little bit, just how because he does his all of his own production. He writes everything. It's all him. So, I saw him doing that and I'm like, well, not comparing myself to him, but if he can do it, like I'm going to give it a shot. So I did that, I kind of studied him. So he's definitely been a huge inspiration. Probably one of the most talented people in the game right now. He's definitely one of the most underrated ones too. But obviously Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, right. Tech Nine, Busta Rhymes, Ludacris, Pharrell. Oh, dude, Joyner all the way. Joyner is cold.
I first heard about Joyner on Kamikaze.
Was it on Kamikaze? That's honestly when I discovered him too. But I listen to him more than Eminem now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got some songs that are just fire, and
he's one of those examples of the fact that hip hop is coming back to its natural roots and how it's supposed to be, because his songs, it's a story.
Right. Yeah.
And he paints that picture for you. Like, you close your eyes and you can see everything he's talking about.
There was a song by him where he's talking. It's about talking to a parent saying, "I don't want to be like you. I don't want to be nothing like you. I don't want to grow up to be like you."
Right.
And that was just like crazy, because I feel like I was watching this guy who was talking about music the other day, and a lot of hip hop gets blamed for bad shit that happens in the world. It's like, oh, those kids listening to that hip hop music,
that hippity hop.
Right, yeah. And those same people grew up in the 70s and 80s listening to rock and roll and had a similar attitude to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
And it seems like hip hop is, in a way, the new way for the youth to kind of connect and rebel.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's rebellion, but at the same time, I think it's a movement. I fell in love with hip hop because it's the only genre where you actually have the capacity of saying more in 3 minutes than you could in a whole album, like just lyrically, word for word. Like you look at a country album, you look at the amount of words that's in one song. You look at a hip hop song, how many words are in that?
Right.
It triples it. And that's kind of up to each artist whether you're going to use that space that you have to actually say something, or are you going to say something catchy. I think that's the fine line that we need to draw in discerning what good music is. But that's just me. I don't really make the rules.
What about writing? What's your writing process like? Can we dive into that a little bit? Have you?
Yeah, we can try.
Schemes? Like what are we thinking here?
I mean, I've studied the dictionary a lot, as nerdy as that sounds, but sometimes I'll sit there and just read the dictionary, thesauruses and stuff, just seeing which words you can use different times. You could say the same word like there. You could use that in 3 different lines. Yeah. You're saying the same word, but it has a different meaning every time. But yeah, as far as my writing process goes, I mean, it's kind of tricky. Sometimes I'll have a track ready and I'll try to write something that's good for that track. Otherwise, I'll just kind of just have the lyrics first and then mold the beat around that. It kind of goes both ways there. So I don't really have a set like, okay, I do this and then I do that.
Right.
Yeah. But
there was one more question I wanted to ask you. It was some of the we mentioned before that there's a lot of instruments that have inspired you. And what instruments are on the album? What can we kind of catch there for listening to it?
We got a lot on the album.
Wow.
Electric guitar, it's one of them, and it might sound like a digitally recorded something. No, like I literally plugged my guitar into my laptop and I just kind of played it. So there's that. There's a lot of piano. There's a lot of drums. A lot of intricate and unique drums. I tried to do something a little different with them. Let's see. I use a lot of like marimbas, a lot of steel drums. Let's see what else. Some guitars. Like I'm talking more like nylon guitar. Strings. A lot of horns. Kind of it's a melting pot of a bunch of different instruments that you'd never think could go together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was trying to do. For a while I was getting stuck in a rut, trying to make, a certain sound or trying to be different, bottom line. But the more that I was trying to be different from what other people were doing, I ended up sounding exactly like everybody else.
Right.
So that's when, with this album, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make music that I like. If I like how it sounds, if I like these instruments together, then that's going to go on the album. And I'm not really going to take, I'll take some feedback from people because I'm always down to grow. I'm always down to learn more. But, bottom line, if I enjoy it, then it's going on it. And yeah, so that's it's kind of how the album came together.
That's awesome. Well, man, thanks for coming on here.
Oh, dude, of course.
It's good to actually get a creator, get someone, get some feedback. Just for all of my fans, I just want to quick mention that we're gonna be doing this a lot. I got a couple other creators lined up, so we're gonna talk about them. Just get into that. What's coming for the future? Before we leave, I want to leave on that.
I'm glad you brought that up. I actually have some really, really good stuff in the books right now. I have a new single coming out probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks here.
Wow, not waiting any time, huh?
No, sir. We're jumping right back into it. I've already got the second album in the works. For the last 3 months already, I've just been in the studio like literally every day trying to grind it out. But this new song is with an artist called Mowgli. She's half Greek, half Colombian, and she lives in Milwaukee. So she's an international artist. Her biggest following is in India for some reason. And my biggest following is in Kenya. So it's kind of fun. Been working it's been fun working together. Just with someone who actually likes to use different languages, because she speaks Spanish, Greek, English, and I don't know, probably one more. But
right.
But yeah, so she actually, there's a part in the single it's the pre-chorus and it's in Greek. Oh. And I was like, that's cold. That's different. So this song itself it's called Smoking Gun. And it's kind of a story of two different people's lives. It's kind of focuses on me for a little bit and how, my relationship with my wife and, things just being good. Not saying I have a perfect relationship, but, it just,
right.
Can't really complain about much and just trying to do everything I can for her. And then she comes in and, we both sat down in the studio and we kind of just decided to, just write whatever we were feeling. So that's what I came up with. And what she came up with was completely different. I mean, like, black and white, 100% different from what I had. And I was a little concerned at first because, mine's all like happy. And then she comes in and her part is about like this guy that isn't there anymore and she's trying to get over. But, I realize that's what music is, especially if you're having two artists. Like, I think trying to be fake and just telling the same story just because that's the story that's being told. I think that's, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's 100% honesty in what we did.
Right.
And it's kind of just taking two sides of a story and putting them in a song together. The track's cold, man.
Right. It sounds like
it
sounds like you got a kind of a contrast going on there almost,
Definitely. I'll send a little rough draft over to you once we're done with this, just so you can kind of check it out. But yeah, it's in the studio right now being mastered. So as soon as that's ready, then we'll do a little 5-day promotion for it and then release it on all platforms. And then after that, in probably like May, I'm guessing, I'll have an EP coming out with her and a local artist called Young Wes. So the three of us are going to be on it together. It's going to be probably like 5 or 6 songs. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Got some things working right now.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a second album, we got a single, we got an EP coming out. Mm-hmm. You're coming back swinging. We got Bachelor Party, we got the video coming out. Is there any other videos coming out?
There's potentially going to be a video for Smoking Gun. We're still in the talking process of that right now, but yeah, I mean, good chance of that happening.
All right, sounds good. Are you active on social at all? Is there anywhere we want to shout out?
Yeah. If you follow me on Instagram, it's G1M Music, no spaces, no capitalization. Follow me on there. Facebook, just G1M. I'm posting a few times a week at least.
You got a Twitter game going on or?
Not really, man. I fell off Twitter.
I need to get back on there.
I know.
All right. I think that just about wraps it up. G1M, check them out. Check out the new album, Lowest Lane. It's great. Follow them on iTunes, Spotify, Instagram, as we mentioned. We'll have links for all this stuff in the description. Keep an eye on this guy because he's going places.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on your show, and I'll definitely be spreading the word about it.
All right, for sure. All right,
man.
Later. All right, now check it out. Here is your sneak peek of G1M's new single featuring Mowgli, Smoking Gun.
I'm the